Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Aaron. Religious freedom advocates are celebrating their Supreme Court victory over Obamacare. Monday, the court ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby in its challenge to the contraception mandate. The justices said some corporations can refuse to provide certain birth control drugs if they have a religious objection. Many Christians believe some of those drugs can cause abortions. Paul Strand has the story.
Those for Hobby Lobby, and against it in this case, packed the area in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. But it was only the pro-Hobby Lobby types who were left cheering.
Hobby Lobby wins! Hobby Lobby wins! Hobby Lobby wins!
Christina Arriaga of the legal group representing the owners say if Hobby Lobby had lost, government fines would have crushed them.
They have a terrific healthcare plan, and all they objected to was 4 out of 20 FDA-mandated drugs. And the government said, fine, you don't have to provide them. We're going to fine you $1.6 million per day. The fines would have been crushing.
Way beyond the contraceptive mandate, this case had huge implications. For instance, this is the first time the court has ruled that a corporation, just like individuals, has a right to religious freedom. Christian business owner Marianne Yep told CBN News she and her husband are their business, started by faith.
Our 10 children prayed about it. We were praying every night. It was our company. The corporation was us. We cannot separate who we were.
I feel wonderful for the Green and Hahn families that brought this lawsuit, and for all the other businesses that are going to be able to continue to practice their faith in their business dealings in this very important way.
But opponents like Reverend Rob Keithan of the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice say those left in the lurch here are women workers for companies like Hobby Lobby, who might have to pay for the sometimes expensive contraceptives themselves.
I was really disappointed. From my perspective as a pastor, I feel the biblical scripture calls us to stand on the side of the marginalized. And what the Supreme Court did today was to stand on the side of the powerful. That they said that bosses actually deserve more rights to their beliefs than their employees.
But pro-Hobby Lobby types see this as a solid slapdown against government overreach.
The government went too far, and it's too heavy of a burden, said the court. And if the Obama administration wants to give out free embryo-destroying drugs and free contraceptives, it's going to have to pay for it itself.
Paul Strand, CBN News, the Supreme Court.
Joining us now with more from our bureau in Washington is Allison Howard of Concerned Women for America. Allison, this is a big victory for religious freedom. What was the court's main objection to how the mandate was being applied?
Well, just yesterday, as you saw, the Supreme Court ruled that there is not a compelling government interest to force people of faith to go against their convictions and provide what they believe are life-destroying drugs. It was a monumental day, and it would have been monumental either way it went down, but we are so glad to have won this case. Concerned Women for America and so many other groups have stood with the Green family and the Hahn family from the beginning in saying that Obamacare unfairly puts a heavy hand of burden on business owners who believe in their convictions and believe that they do not lose their faith the second they walk into the workplace.
Now, Justice Ginsburg says the court has, quote, ventured into a minefield, opening the door for companies to claim religious objections. Why is she so worried about religious freedom?
They very specifically talked about these 4 drugs yesterday. The idea that this is some Pandora's box is just not what was before the court. The question before the court was whether they needed to provide these 4 drugs. The Green family was okay with 16 of the 20 contraceptive methods that the HHS mandate forced business owners to comply with. They only had contention with 4. And for us, this was never just about standing with them and these 2 families. This was about standing up for all Americans, that they all have the right to run their business according to their religious beliefs. And because of RFRA, that piece of legislation is what was before the courts. They very specifically only talked about these 4 drugs, and they ruled wisely, and it feels good to win. I can't always come on and say it's a good day in Washington, but it really was a good day in Washington, D.C. yesterday.
Well, the left is trying to say that this ruling violates women's rights. How do you respond to that?
Sure. Well, what I've seen, and I'd like to point out that I was at the Supreme Court yesterday, there were no Hobby Lobby employees there protesting. That's because they enjoy working for that company. The Green family runs their business according to their beliefs in giving their employees off on Sundays, in starting their wages at $14 an hour. We want to encourage business owners, especially in this economy, to treat their employees well and to do business well, not burden them. For those that say this is an attack on women, this in no way affects women's ability and access to contraception. I've seen more women complaining about the fines that they face if they don't get Obamacare, dropping their plans, and now what the plan may include, and the inability to figure out what it actually does include because it's so in the weeds there. That's the minefield, I think, that most women are in to kind of push back on what Ginsburg said there. So I do think women care more about the fines and penalties they're facing right now than whether there's 4 free drugs within their plan.
Allison Howard, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Anytime. God bless. Thank you, guys.
Well, Monday's Supreme Court ruling is giving a major Catholic broadcaster a reprieve from the contraception mandate. Eternal World Television Network in Birmingham is appealing after a federal judge dismissed its lawsuit challenging the mandate. A 3-judge panel of the 11th Circuit Court ruled Monday that the network does not have to comply with the law while the appeal goes forward. The panel cited Monday's Supreme Court ruling in its decision to block enforcement of the mandate. President Obama says he won't wait on Republicans to act on immigration reform, so he's going it alone, announcing steps to bypass Congress. This as the crisis along America's southern border continues to unravel with growing numbers of underage immigrants pouring across. George Thomas has the details.
The body of an 11-year-old boy from Guatemala was recently found along this stretch of highway in La Jolla, Texas. Wearing jeans, black boots, and a white rosary around his neck, authorities say he apparently got lost after crossing the border. The tragedy highlights the chaos on America's southern border. This year alone, more than 174,000 immigrants from Central America have been arrested in Texas. 52,000 of those have been unaccompanied children.
This is not a situation where these children are slipping through. They're being apprehended. But the problem is that our system is so broken, so unclear, that folks don't know what the rules are.
Accusing Republicans of inaction on immigration reform, the president said he's going to bypass Congress and take executive actions to shore up the border.
America cannot wait forever for them to act. And that's why today I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own, without Congress.
He's asking lawmakers for $2 billion and tasked his Attorney General to come up with recommendations he can take legally without approval from Congress. But Republicans say the crisis is a result of the president's immigration policies.
It's in part a humanitarian crisis because presidential policies are enticing children to risk their lives to travel from Central America to the state of Texas.
The surge of immigrant families has overwhelmed federal authorities. Plans are underway in Dallas to house some 2,000 unaccompanied children in 3 temporary housing facilities.
We're going to take these children from chain link enclosures and put them in compassionate care.
The government says between 60,000 and 80,000 children without parents will cross the border this year. George Thomas, CBN News.
CBN News has a team on the border working to bring you every angle of this story, including how pastors and churches are working to give spiritual and physical aid to these children. See the exclusive video at our CBN News reporter Heather Sells' Facebook page. Severe weather across the U.S. could threaten 4th of July celebrations. A powerful weather system already created dangerous conditions across the Midwest. Take a look at this video. In Chicago, lightning struck the Willis Tower multiple times. Torrential rains and strong winds left 200,000 people without power in the Windy City. Chicago O'Hare Airport shut down for hours and canceled more than 250 flights. Tornadoes passed through western Missouri, but no major damage or injuries were reported. And in Wisconsin, over 90,000 homes are without power because of heavy storms.
I was in the house and you couldn't see out the windows. It was just straight crosswinds. And then all of a sudden I saw branches flying, coming through the driveway.
In Iowa, high winds caused a building to collapse, killing one person. At Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, a runaway tarp in 80-mile-per-hour winds injured minor league team staff. Rescue workers in the area also searched through the night to find a teenager that was sucked into a storm drain. And this season's first named storm is churning off the coast of Florida. Tropical storm Arthur is set to pick up strength and travel north into the mid-Atlantic states, causing heavy rains, thunderstorms, and dangerous rip currents up the coast. More than 2,400 people were killed in the Islamic takeover of Iraq in June. That is the highest monthly toll since 2007. The United Nations says at least 2,417 people were killed in acts of terrorism and violence, a majority of them civilians. Meanwhile, the U.S. is sending another 300 troops to Iraq to increase security at the U.S. Embassy and elsewhere in Baghdad. Their mission will be to protect U.S. citizens and property. That raises the total U.S. troop presence to 750. The State Department is also temporarily moving some embassy staff in Baghdad to U.S. consulates in Erbil and Basra. Israel's military forces are striking back after 3 missing Israeli teens were found murdered. The IDF killed one Palestinian who threw a grenade at troops carrying out an arrest raid in the West Bank. And the military is striking dozens of targets in the Gaza Strip in response to an increase in rocket attacks. Meanwhile, the nation of Israel is grieving the brutal murders of three defenseless teens. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has that story.
Israeli troops discovered their bodies in a shallow grave near the West Bank city of Halhul after an exhaustive, nearly 3-week search. Grieving Israelis took to the streets to memorialize the teens. Kidnappers abducted Ayel Yifrak, Gilad Shar, and Naftali Frankel, a dual Israeli-American citizen, as they waited for a ride home from school on June 12th. The nightmare gripped the nation for 18 days, partly because they could have been anyone's kids. Their names and faces became part of every family as Israel mounted a massive military search in the West Bank. Israelis and millions around the world hoped and prayed for their safe return. Israel's security agency said Monday the 3 were murdered shortly after being kidnapped. A burning car found by the roadside the day after the incident provided clues. Despite the tragedy, some say the attack was no surprise.
You have in the Palestinian Authority a long history of relentless incitement to hatred and violence against Jews and against Israelis. And then you have this pact that President Abbas signs with Hamas.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blamed Hamas for the abduction. His advisor, Jonathan Schachter, said Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas needs to annul his pact with Hamas.
You cannot, on the one hand, say that you want peace with Israel, and on the other hand, embrace Hamas, which is a terrorist organization.
As the search for the murderers continued, it wasn't clear what Israel's response would be. Netanyahu pledged that Hamas would pay for the murders.
Israel has different kinds of options, political options, diplomatic options, military options.
Many Israelis feel the world just doesn't get it. While part of the world warned Israel against a disproportionate reaction, one analyst wondered what a correct response would be for terrorists who stole 3 boys and murdered them just because they were Jews. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, worship at the box office. Catch an early glimpse at the new film about the world's most successful worship band after this.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh yes, and that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new white paper entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new Don't Bank on It white paper now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
The Supreme Court has delivered a blow to labor unions. The justices ruling public sector unions can't force non-members to pay fees. Labor unions in Illinois and other states required home health aides to pay, but many say they don't want to be compelled to associate with a union. Monday, the justices said collecting the fees violates the First Amendment rights of workers who are not union members. The Supreme Court has rejected a challenge to California's ban on conversion therapy for young people. The therapy is given to people who want to be healed of same-sex attraction. But California lawmakers banned teenagers from receiving the therapy even if they or their parents want it. Liberty Counsel and supporters of the therapy argue that lawmakers have no scientific proof that the therapy does harm. But an appeals court ruled that the ban does not violate the free speech rights of licensed counselors and patients seeking treatment. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, one man is standing against county officials who are issuing same-sex marriage licenses. Robert Braun says county clerks broke the law by doing that. Wisconsin's battle over marriage is still in the federal courts, but county clerks started issuing gay marriage licenses anyway. So Braun filed a suit in small claims court trying to get those clerks to stop. He says he plans to keep working to make sure the state's lawmaking same-sex marriage illegal is upheld.
If I hadn't filed it, I'd be waiting 6 months to get this heard. Now I've got a court case, it's on file, and I know what he's going to say, and I'm prepared now when I go in, so it's a big step for me.
Braun's next stop is circuit court. Well, Hollywood is taking a closer look at Christianity and shining the light on the world's most successful worship band. Hillsong is coming to a theater near you, and CBN News has this first look at the trailer for Hillsong, Let Hope Arise. The band is shooting its story on 5 continents for the Warner Brothers and Alcon Entertainment project. The movie will document the band's 30-year journey from a youth group band at Hillsong Church to a worldwide sensation with 16 million albums sold and popular songs like Mighty to Save, Hosanna, and From the Inside Out. The film hits theaters next April. Up next, there's a diabetes epidemic in America, and the main culprit is sugar. See how this deadly disease can be reversed simply by changing your diet.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans. with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right. You could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Sitting can be really dangerous to your health. A new study says sitting too much can raise your risk of certain types of cancer. The study was published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute. It's a review of 43 studies with more than 4 million people. Experts say it's important to be active and to spend less time sitting at work or home by getting up and walking around or stepping outside. Well, more than 26 million Americans suffer from diabetes. That's 10 times the number of just 50 years ago. But despite American diets filled sugar and soaring obesity rates, there is hope. Lori Johnson shows us how some people are reversing their diabetes, getting off their medications, and feeling great.
Like millions of Americans, Janet Huffstetler felt diabetes ruining her life. Then she changed her diet.
I will tell you, I have never felt so good. I think having my body free of sugar and carbs and processed chemicals has made such a difference.
It's a far cry from the fear she felt 8 years ago when doctors first diagnosed her with diabetes. She saw what it did to her uncle.
He ended up on full dialysis and blind, and he also had coronary bypass surgery, and they had started talking about amputation, but he died.
Diabetes is when there's too much sugar in the blood. The standard treatment is largely medication. Janet's first doctor put her on medication that led to weight gain and depression.
And this kind of made me sluggish, it made me dizzy, it made me lethargic.
Daily life became a series of finger sticks, constantly monitoring her blood sugar levels. Believing there had to be a better way, she changed doctors.
I came home and Googled, and Dr. Westman's name kept coming up, and I was fortunate enough to get in to see him.
That appointment sent her to the nationally recognized Duke Lifestyle Medicine Clinic and Dr. Eric Westman, who helped reverse Janet's diabetes through his diet-only approach.
Diabetes and obesity is complicated. There are lots of factors that are involved, but most experts agree that it's the foods and the beverages that people eat that are the major cause for diabetes and obesity in the U.S. And so that should be the major focus of treatment.
Instead of treating the sugar in his patient's blood with medicine, Westman simply eliminates their sugar intake.
The program is tremendously successful if you do it.
Susan Hollowell did it and went from spending $400 a month on diabetes drugs down to zero.
I was insulin dependent, 5 injections a day. The third day of my diet, my blood sugar dropped to 150, and I asked Dr. Westman, what should I do about my insulin? I didn't want to go over. And he said, get off of it.
That was 3 months ago. Now she's 20 pounds lighter with greater energy than before. Dr. Westman admits it's not easy for some people to give up sugar.
There's a feed forward, a drive that comes from eating sugar, that eating sugar makes you want to eat more sugar.
So his patients use artificial sweeteners to manage their withdrawal symptoms.
After a while, you don't crave those things anymore. You don't want it.
In addition to sugar, Dr. Westman's diabetes diet also limits starches like bread, pasta, and rice because they also raise your blood sugar. Surprisingly, the diet allows patients to eat fats, the unsaturated kind like olive oil and avocados, and saturated fat like coconut oil and butter. Although this diet may sound revolutionary, it's actually a throwback.
This is an old medical textbook from the year 1900, before insulin was discovered, advising physicians to put their diabetic patients on a low-carbohydrate, high-fat diet.
Dr. Westman tells his patients not to worry about eating saturated fat because the latest science reveals it does not cause heart disease.
So now we're in a phase of education, trying to get the word out on how the cholesterol in the blood and the heart arteries and all that do not get adversely affected by a high-fat diet.
So to avoid diabetes or reverse it, put the brakes on sugar and starch. It's not always easy, but well worth the effort. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Hi, I'm George Foreman. People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can provide patent referrals and submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-461-9290. That's 1-800-461-9290.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Finally today, CBN is helping hundreds of children in need in Thailand as they get ready to go to school. 240 school children from low-income farming families in a remote area of northern Thailand attended a recent CBN back-to-school event. The children received school supplies like backpacks, notebooks, and lunchboxes. They were also invited to watch the David episode of Superbook. The response to Superbook was positive. One young student said he learned that God is with David, so he has a brave heart, and that if we are with God, no matter where we are, God is with us too. God bless them. Well, that's it for CBN News today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, and God bless.